Okay, so in the previous class, we had started off with shell scripting, and I shared the contents, of the commands that I used in the previous class, and then that I was about to use in today's class uh, over the live. But I think since the video had some issues with the voice, so I'll be going again over that. But we will take that to some other class now, the shell scripting concepts. Okay, and today we will be starting off with the Hadoop deployment. Okay, so we will be starting off with Hadoop and its deployment. Now, any Linux command that we require during that, I'll explain that then and there itself. But as far as the shell scripting concepts are concerned, I will be taking it again. Maybe after we are done with the cluster installation, then I'll take a bonus class and we will cover up the shell scripting concepts over there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So when we say Hadoop installation, I think during the initial classes also we had discussed upon this. So Hadoop or Apache Hadoop is open source. Okay, although it's open source, but two major players have developed their own versions of Hadoop. Those major players are basically Cloudera and Hortonworks. Okay, Cloudera has its product called CDH. I think that means Cloudera deployment for Hadoop. And Hortonworks has its own version, which is HDP, or I think Hortonworks data platform. Okay, so both of these are actually derived from the Apache Hadoop itself. Okay, now last year, or I think in 2017 or 18, these two companies merged together, and now they have come up with something called as a CDP. This is another version after these two companies merged. Okay, so during the many organizations are yet to come on CDP. This is a newer version, and mostly you will find companies working on either CDH or HTTP. Okay, but since this CDP is mostly like it's dominated by the features of Cloudera only. So we can say that Cloudera actually acquired Hortonworks. Okay, and they come up with this CDP, and that's why this version is mostly dominated by the features of Cloudera, and it's a version which was CDH. Okay, so during this course we will be installing a CDH cluster only, because the future is of this getting upgraded to this. Okay, mostly HDP migration will also happen to CDP, but since as I said, most of the features are from Cloudera itself, so it's better to have a hands-on on the Cloudera's version and its like installation and stuff. Okay, so that's why we will be focusing on installing the CDH cluster only. Okay, now in CDH, that's basically means Cloudera distribution for Hadoop. Now in CDH, there are actually two components, two working components. One is a Cloudera manager, other are Cloudera agents. We can call them agents, but ultimately there are services which are reporting to the Cloudera manager. Now, Cloudera manager, as the name suggests, it manages the overall cluster and its components. Cloudera agents, it manages a single node can like everybody is able to see my screen? Hello?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I think Imtiaz is having some issues, not able to see anything. Imtiaz, I don't think it's an issue from our end.
I can see only the names, but I don't see your screen.
My laptop screen is not visible to you.
No.
Anybody else is also having such an issue, or is it fine for others?
No, we can see what you're typing.
Okay. Yeah, Imtiaz, I think you try to reconnect again. Something is wrong at your end. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Cloudera agents, it manages a single instance and it reports to the Cloudera manager, because ultimately this is the master. Cloudera manager is the master of the Cloudera distribution, and this is the one who will be managing everything at the cluster end. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we will be starting by installing this guy, Cloudera manager. Okay. And I'll tell you what is the process and what is the version. First of all, we will be working with CDH version 5.12. Okay. There are various new versions also, like they have come up with 6, and the CDP basically it refers to 7, version 7 of the Cloudera distribution. But the point is, starting from a lower version will have you the privilege and or the liberty that in future if you want to upgrade, so that is also a kind of experience that one should have as an admin, which means upgrading your cluster to a higher version. So we'll start off with the lower version, and as and when if we can complete the curriculum earlier, probably we'll try to upgrade it to a higher version also, depending upon your interest if you want to learn that skill also. Okay, so we'll be starting with 5.12. Okay, now let me give you an idea how exactly, whenever it comes to any installation on Linux, how exactly that happens. Okay. So, okay, before starting my server, there are few prerequisites. This is our class 4, I think, right? Class 4. Okay, before starting the server, there are now few prerequisites to install. Okay, so the Cloudera manager, it requires, so this requires that um, your RAM is at least 8 GB. Okay, so your server should have at least 8 GB of RAM. Now if server is going to have 8 GB of RAM at sorry, the if Cloudera manager is has a requirement of 8 GB of RAM. Now whenever you are starting any Linux server, there are other processes also running at the backend, so that might also need some memory. Okay, so ultimately we should have we should have a server which is more than 8 GB, or I would say at least it should be around 8 plus 4 GB, 4 GB for your system memory, and 8 GB will be utilized by your Cloudera manager. Okay, so if I come back to my instance now, when we had created this instance, it was of type, I think it was the free version instance, right? And a free version instance has 1 GB RAM and only one vCOS. Okay, and that won't work with our installation part. So what we'll do is we will upgrade the instance type. Either you want to, if you want to upgrade it the same instance, that is fine. But if you want to practice on this server and you want to create a new server, that is also fine. So what I'll do is I'll be creating a new server here. Okay, so our instance which we were using for practice was a free version, which was of t2.micro type, right? Now I'll be creating a new instance for this Cloudera manager and the cluster installation going ahead. Okay, either you can do that, or if you are done with your practice and you want to upgrade this instance only, so I'll tell you that also first. So if you want to upgrade this type, just select it, instance, click on instance, I think in the actions. In the instance setting option, you will see this change instance type. Okay, if you click on this, it will give you the option to change its type. The type that we will be using now is T4.x large. Okay, 1 second, I think. Okay, I'll show you this part
Pratik,
later.
go for the new stance.
Yeah, we'll start with the new instance instead. I'll tell you what version actually we are going to use. Okay, so let's start and create a new instance. Let me remove this option. Yeah, So launch instances, click on this. The process will be the same, how you created this instance. I'll search for CentOS. AWS, click on the AWS marketplace on the left hand side. Then we will be using this CentOS 7 only. Okay, now you see there will be some fees, some money that will be charged every time. We will be using T2.x large. Okay, it's going to cost us around $0.186 per hour. So now it has started to be important that we stop our instances after we have done working. Okay, do not terminate, but stop. So if you stop the instance, it won't cost you anything. Just some minor cost of the storage, but that won't be much effective. But if you leave this running, right, it will keep on charging you this many. Although it might look a little very less at this moment, but multiplied by 10 hours. So let's say you didn't stop it overnight, okay, and next morning when you wake up, it's still running. So that would be a 10 multiple of this. So that would be $1. Now, if you leave it for a week, you can imagine how much it will keep on multiplying the cost. So whenever you are done, let's say you have worked for 1 hour or 2 hour, stop this instance, and then it won't be such a headache. The costing won't be such a headache. Okay, so now this page will tell me my instance, what exactly is my instance going to give. Okay, so uh, okay, one correction here. I actually told you the RAM requirement is of 8 GB. Actually, the RAM requirement is 4 GB, and CPU or virtual core requirement is at least 8. Okay, so your RAM should be, even if you have like 4 GB RAM in this case, that would be fine, because that would be utilized not completely, because we are going to make only a 3 node cluster, and we have 16 cores in this version. So that's why we'll be using T2.x large, which is at least 4 GB, and your CPU should be at least 8. Okay, so this version will help us to reach that prerequisite. A version which is smaller than this, it will have 2 GB RAM and 8 vcores. That won't be sufficient. And a version which is larger than it, although it's good enough, but it's going to cost a little more. So we have to think about the costing as well, right? So instead of going with T2.2x large, we will be using T2.x large, which will give me 4 GB RAM. So this is basically CPU, and this is your RAM. So 16 GB RAM and 4 CPUs. I am confusing myself only. Okay. So this is 8 only. Sorry for that. And CPU should be at least 4. Okay. So this version will give us a 16 GB RAM and a 4 CPU. And will also help us minimize our costing, because going a version higher will definitely be costing more. Okay, and what this EBS means is basically, so this is a type of storage on AWS. So whenever you are creating, there is no hard disk attached to the servers, right? So basically, what you have is an elastic block storage or an EBS kind of volume which is attached to your virtual machines. Okay, there are different other types of volumes also. If you just check it for some other versions in here, like this C5D, so there is something that's like an SSD, and I think there's also something like an I3. Yeah, if you go into this I versions, okay, so there are various different kind of volumes that AWS provides, but most commonly used is an EBS or an elastic block storage, and that is by default coming along with this T2 per X large. This moderate is basically the network performance, which is currently fine for us. I don't want a high network performance, but because definitely as and when you move ahead with that, it's going to increase your costings. Okay, so we are actually focusing on practicing stuff, so it's better to go with a moderate and in an instance that has at least our requirement of CPUs and memory. Okay, let's move ahead. I won't change anything on this page, although I'm yet to explain you. Maybe when we discuss some topics of AWS, I'll explain you what is a VPC, what is a subnet. Okay, but these are all like AWS concepts. For now, we will leave it as it is. Click on Add Storage. Okay, now at least, so by default it's going to be 8 GB, but I would recommend to have at least 20 GB. Now there is a free tier eligibility. All of this will start going off. Okay, so you have a free tier up to 30 GB, but since we are going to create 3 node cluster, each node around 20 GB each, so that would also start costing us a little bit. So EBS, although it won't cost as comparable to how your compute was costing, uh, but let's say when we are done with the practice, ultimately we will be terminating everything, and then it will mitigate our costs for it. Okay, so 20 GB, because there will be some binaries installed that would need some space, so we'll make it 20 GB for now, and we will click on this option, delete on termination. Okay, this basically means when you are deleting your instance, this volume will also get deleted automatically. Encryption, again, it's a concept of AWS. It's basically if you want to encrypt your data stored in this disk, you can make it encrypted. But I will not do that for now. I'll keep it as it is. But this is important, and making it, which is by default to 20, that is also important. Okay, let's move and add tags. So add tags, you can add a tag, a name that is not just for your like tagging. It has nothing to do with the technical aspects. I'll give it a name as Cloudera Manager. Okay. Next is again security group. So we will be using. I think let's use the same security group which we were using earlier. Linux practice. Okay. So Linux practice basically gives all traffic to my IP. This might need a change. I'll change it once my instance has started working. Or if you want, you can create a new security group also. Even that is fine. So if you're creating a new security group, I think let's create a new itself for the ones who are first time looking at this page. So let's call it Cloudera Manager. B9, and we will make it again all traffic. Instead of custom, my IP address. Yeah. So now everything is done. Let's click on review. Now you can see it says that your instance is not eligible for free tier, which I know because now I'm using a T2 per X large and some EBS volume. So that's as soon as I start the instance, it will start costing me some amount. Okay, just I'll just review this one. So say 16 GB, which is if my 8 GB is my minimum requirement, and for CPU that's perfectly fine. And only I have the access to SSH. That is also fine. Rest, I think storage. I want to take a look. It should be 20 GB, and it should be. This would be yes because I wanted to delete it when I'm done. When I'm deleting my instance. Okay, so let's launch it. We will be using the same key pair. If you want to create a new, even you can create a new. Okay, but I'll be using the same B9 which I already have on my which I was using to connect to my previous instance also. Okay, let's launch it. Okay, so I think it should be launched by now. Let's click on it. Check. Yeah, it has started running. Okay, let's connect to it. Again, it won't be having a public IP for my case. For your case, I think it should be already be having it. Okay, so no need to do the next step that I'm going to do. I'm just going to assign a public IP for my instance. I hope everybody is now clear about the concept of public and private IP. Okay, one second. Okay, so now that has been assigned to my instance. Let me check that. Yeah, so now I have this public IP which I'll be using to connect. So SSH. So ESA, this is for you. You were missing this part, -I. Okay, I think that's the reason you were not able to connect. Okay, so SSH-I, then B9 dot pem CentOS. Sorry, not CentOS. Yeah, CentOS @ our IP address. Yes, so we are now connected to our server, which we created right now. Let's quickly check its memory. Memory is coming out to be around 15 GB total, because some of them is being used by the internal processes. And next, let's check our CPU. So these two commands will give you the information about your RAM and your CPU. CPU is 4, so this is also good. Okay, so we are now good to install Cloudera Manager on this. Okay, now I have already summarized the steps that we will be needing to install Cloudera Manager. Let me just place it for this group. Let me put in the type also, 2.x large, which has 4 CPU and 16 GB RAM, and costing is around 0.186. Okay, so this is going to cost us around 0.186, and it has already started costing me for this hour. Okay, so even if you stop the instance in less than an hour, it will still cost you the same amount. Okay, so for each hour or every minute in the, so let's say even if you spend 1 minute of a particular hour, it will be costing you $0.186 only. Okay, so keep that in mind every time. Okay, so coming back to our server over here now. So, okay, so now we have created a server with its prerequisites. Okay, and it's good to go and install Cloudera Manager. Now, what exactly do you mean by install? Okay, so it's quite similar to how you install a new application, let's say on your own mobile phone, or you want to install something on your laptop. Similarly, on Linux, if you want to have a new application installed, that's basically require few steps. Okay. Now Linux is the basic in here, and our Hadoop is a kind of application only, or Cloudera Manager will be an application only itself. Okay. Now, just like how if you want to install an application, either if you're doing it on an Android phone or an iOS, you have to go to your Apple Store, or let's say Play Store, right? Similarly, on a Linux system, whenever you want to install something, there are some uh, there are some already like URLs through where you can install those packages. Okay, so let's say if I want to install a package called NetTools. NetTool is basically a package that can, through which I can get some more utilities on this Linux server. Okay, so how do I install that package? So for any installation on a Linux server, the command used will be yum. Okay, so yum install net tools. If I run this command, this will install this package called nettools. Okay. Now, one more thing, you have to be root. Only root user or the master user can install anything on a Linux environment. Okay. So let's become root. Okay, it says it's already installed. Now we could have checked that again using yum, and the command would be info instead of install. Okay, as soon as I turn info, it tell me, okay, this is my installed packages. Name is net2. Okay, so similarly, we can install other stuff using yum. Now, one more thing you should know: where exactly does yum know that on which URL does should it go and install a particular package, right? So for that, Linux has a directory etc/yum.repos.d. Okay, etc/yum.repos.d. In this directory, you will find some .repo file. Okay, these are by default, they have come bundled when I installed this CentOS server. Okay, so in this repo, there are basically various URLs. If I open one repo using vi, okay, vi editor, I think I discussed it in the previous class. Whenever we want to write to a file or check the content of a file, we can use this vi editor. If I click vi space the file name, it will take me to the content of the file. Okay, and if I want to write something to it, I can use i I key on my laptop. If I click on I will enter an insert mode. Then I can write anything. If I want to quit the insert mode, I will press the escape key. And then if I want to save this file, I can use colon. Just look at the bottom. Colon Q. This will quit without saving my changes. If I want to save and quit, I can use WQ. Right now, I just want to show you what exactly is the content. So I'll not do anything. So you can see there are some URLs, right? These are the URLs from which every time we run something like a yum install, they will come on these URL. The server will check this URL and see whether that package is present over there or not. Okay. So this is how you install anything on a server. Now, when it's about installing Cloudera Manager, it the URL is not mentioned in any of these repo. Okay, those URLs won't be mentioned in any of these repositories. So we will have to create a new file or a new repository file like this. We can call it cm.repo. Okay, so this is one thing. Now other thing is, so this URL that we will be referring to every time for our installation, right? So let's say for this server, I will install it from that URL. But let's say I have around 100 or thousands of server in my cluster. So it's not economical, I would say, to every time go to that same URL for those 1,000 servers again and again. Okay, so even if let's say I create a repo and in that repo I give a URL. Okay, that URL is basically the Cloudera Manager official site URL where the packages are present. So I will download that once on this host and I'll install it. So when I will do yum install, let's say Cloudera Manager, the yum will check in that cm.repo file that I'll create, and it will install this package for me by going to that particular URL every time of the Cloudera's official site. But doing this for 1000 servers, that is not a good option, because you are actually using your internet every time for those thousands of servers. Then there could be some network latency also over the internet. Then you are going over a public internet. Okay, so instead it's better that we create our own URL of such a kind, and we use that URL for downloading and installing any package on any new server. Okay, so this whole concept that I explained to you right now, that's called a local repository. Okay, so we will be creating our own local repository, and we will be downloading our own like downloading the Cloudera's packages. So these are basically all these URLs that I have shown you here. These all are URLs will be used to download certain packages, and those packages will we will host it on our own website or on our own URL, and we will use that URL every time for a new server. Okay, this is just for understanding, as in when we start this thing process, it will make you more understand or more clearer about it. Okay, okay, so let's first quickly take a look at the official Cloudera website. So on this page, you will find what exactly are the prerequisites, what are the steps and stuff. All of this I've already summarized into few steps over here. But if you want to get into some detailed understanding, you can just take a look at it. And okay, one more correction. We are not using 5.12, but we are using 5.15. Okay, and uh, if you want to, so we will be doing this part, installing Cloudera Manager first. Okay, but there are few more requirements that you can read about that relates to this, and as and when we move ahead and whatever will be the requirement for us, we will be doing that over there. But yes, on this official site you can read about it. Currently it's for this is showing for 5.14. You can check that for the version that we are using, 5.15. Okay, so this, just like this, you will find various documentations about the product as well, and about the installation also. But we are focusing right now on the installation part itself. Okay, this is one thing. Now there are some prerequisites. One of them I've already explained. That is basically your RAM requirement. Other is the CentOS version should also be corresponding, but I think it's better to use anything more than CentOS 6. We are working on CentOS 7, so that is already good. But let's take a look of this document also. Okay, so it says supported operating system for 15 is RHEL 7.8. Anything more than RHEL or CentOS 5.7 is fine. We are working on, I think, CentOS 7.6. Let's check that. How you can check that? So you can check that by etc Red Hat releases. Cat is the command to print the content of a file. Okay. Slash etc is the folder. Slash this is the file name. So we will cat it. So we are actually working on CentOS 7.7. That is not being shown in here, which is like the newest version is 7.8, but that would also work fine with our type. Okay. So that being said, let's start with our process and create a local Cloudera Manager repository. First of all, let me tell you what exactly, why do we need it? Okay. So this is the official Cloudera Manager URL over where you will find all those packages that we need to install. Okay. This is you can see the URL is archivecloudera.com. RPM, basically any package that you installed on a Linux environment, that will be called RPM. So if I click on this, these are all the Cloudera Manager requirements and their corresponding packages. Okay, so you can see Cloudera Manager agent. That's basically what I was telling you about. That's going to be installed on each host. Then this server will and the server DB will be installed on one host. Okay, then there are some prerequisites, and these are all packages .rpm file. The largest of them is Cloudera Manager daemon. You can see it's around 751.8 MB. Now imagine downloading this 751.8 MB every time from this URL for 1000 server. Okay, that is not economical, right? Every time you are using the internet to download it, that is not a good practice. So that's the reason why I will make a similar URL like this. So instead of using the archive Cloudera URL, or instead of going to the internet every time, we will create this kind of URL on our own server, this server itself, and we will use that URL every time. So we just need to download these packages only once. Okay, so that basically means a local repository. This is a archive Cloudera repository, but we will be creating our own local repository similar to this. Okay. Okay, so for that, what exactly do we need? First of all, since we want a URL like this for our own server, right? There is a specific package that does that work, and that is called HTTP package. Okay, so we will be installing this package using yum command. So yum install HTTPD. It will say, okay, installing HTTPD. It will ask you for yes or no. We will type yes, yes again, and it is installed. Okay, I think I might have mentioned it as a later step. Yeah, I mentioned it as a step in here, step 2, but step 1 is it's also fine. I'll take you to the download step later. Okay, so HTTPD is basically a package which will help you to make your server appear on the web browser also. So in a kind of a URL. Okay. So once you install it, so now HTTPD is installed. Let me check it from info. Yeah, it says it's installed. Now basically it's a service. Okay. So just like um, when after you install a application, let's say on your mobile phone, and you want to start it, right? Similarly, over here, once we have installed it, we will start it. Now to start a package or a service, the command will be service followed by the service name, which in this case is httpd, and then we will type start. Okay, so now this service might or might not have started. How we will check it? We will use again the same command, service httpd followed by status. It says active running, right? That this means that my Apache HTTP server, or this basically HTTPD service, is now up and it is running. Okay, so it is now up and running. Now I would just test it out. Okay, so I will just test whether it's appearing on my browser or not. And how will I test that? First of all, I should have my public IP address. I can get the public IP address of the same server from here. Right, this is my public IP address. I will copy that IP address on my browser like this. Press enter. If this page comes testing 123 Apache HTTP server, you can see it over here, right? And this is also the service. So that means this is working fine. And I can open, this is a test page. And I can open this test page of my server on my browser. But remember, you have to put your public IP address, not the private IP address. Okay, so private IP address will be used in later part of the installation. But when we are checking anything on our own laptop, on our own laptop's browser, every time we will be using the public IP address only, which is this. Okay. So this page comes up, then we are good. We can go ahead and create a website, a URL like this, and we can host these packages over there. Okay. Okay. Now next thing is, one more thing I'll do is I will enable this service. So how will you enable it? So there's another command, system ctl, then your enable httpd. Now what exactly does it mean by system ctl enable httpd? This basically means, enable basically means that if I restart my server, if I will be restarting my server, it it won't stop my HTTPD server. So every time you restart anything, right, any server, the other services which are running on that will be stopped. But if you want to also restart them along with the server, then you must enable it. Okay, so if the next time when I'll again start my server, I will find that the HTTPD will always keep on running instead of being in stopped state. Okay, so this, once we have done this, we've actually done this step. Okay, we installed HTTPD. This -y option will, if you don't want to type y every time, you can use this. Then we did this. We checked the status of HTTPD. It wasn't running, so we started it. Although I started it first and then I checked the status. Either way, it's fine. And then I enabled it. Okay. Now, once we are done, now the next step is to do is create and download all these packages. Okay. Okay. So first of all, we should understand now when we have started the HTTPD service, right? And it's coming up pretty fine. But how will I make sure that it's able to read some of these files? Or when I download these files on my server, they should appear just like how it's appearing on this URL for me also. Okay. Now there is a predefined directory in which HTTPD will always take a look. Okay, so that directory is basically, it's right now it won't be present, so we will be creating it. It's var triple w html, triple w as in www that you put in on the browser every time you want to search anything. Okay, so this directory, okay, it's already there. Probably when I installed HTTPD, it was created. So anything that you put into this directory, you can check, you can refer that from the browser also. So let me show you. If I just create now, so what I'll do is I'll be creating similar to how the directory structure is in this URL. You can see there is a CM5 directory, a Red Hat directory, right? Similar to this. I will make a similar structure. I have already copied that command. Okay. mkdir is used to create a directory. Mkdir -p is basically when you want to make multiple directories. Since I'm going to make 3 directories within this var triple w html, this, this, and this, and this. Okay, these 3 are separate directories, but we are going to make it using one command. So we will be giving up -p option. Okay. Now, since I have created, so if I go to this var triple w html now, the first directory that you will see in ls is this, right? Now this directory now can be referred from UI of my URL. So if I, in this URL, I put /5.15.2, right? It will tell me what exactly is present in this 5.15.2. So we have RPMS folder, right? If I just click on this, you can see this RPMS folder. Okay. Similarly, if you go inside this RPMS, there will be a x86 point underscore this folder. If I just click it from here, this is my folder. Okay, so the point is it's starting from /5.15.2. Basically, anything that you put in this var triple w html, you can refer that using the httpd service from the browser. Okay, so now since we have reached to this stage, we have made something like this: 5.15.2 rpms x8664. Within this, all these packages are present, right? So we will now download these packages. Okay, first we will go to that folder, which is this basically. Right now there is nothing in here, so nothing will appear on my browser also. It's empty, right? I want to make sure these packages are present in my folder also. So I will just download these one by one. So I can copy the URLs from here, copy link address, and I can come here, and to download anything on Linux, the command uses wget. Okay, so wget followed by the URL will download this URL on my local server. But this wget might not be already be installed, so we will first install it. Command remains the same: yum install wget. Yes. Okay, now this is installed. Now I can download this package. I click on copy link address, come here, wget, paste the URL, and it has started downloading it for me. If I do ls now, you can see the package is downloaded, and that will also start appearing on my URL over here. Okay, similarly, I will download all the remaining packages. I have already copied the URLs for them here. Okay, so I'll just copy these URLs and paste it all of them together so that they will download it. They'll all be downloaded automatically. I'll just copy it and paste it here. This is the largest package. It's going to take me about 5 minutes. Okay, so once all of them have been downloaded, you will see all these packages which is currently appearing on the Cloudera page, also on my own local repository or local URL. Okay, I think it will take around 4 minutes. In the meantime, we can take a short break. Okay, so let's wait for it to complete, and in the meantime, we can take a short break. If any questions, just you can post it on the group. I'll be back and I'll take a look at them. Okay. Okay, I think everything is downloaded. Let's check it using the ls command. I think everything is now downloaded, and we can check it using the ls command. Yeah, everything, one, two, three, four, five packages are appearing. Let me check. Okay, yeah, one more package is to be downloaded, which is this. Yeah, so now we have, if I do ls, we have one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is an extra, I think, duplicate package. Let me remove this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 packages. If I go to the browser and check it on the Cloudera page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this JD key is 6. We don't need it, so that's why I think I didn't place the URL. But the Cloudera's packages and the Oracle is already there. Okay, so this is fine. If I now check it on my page, since I have downloaded in the directory, they are also coming up. Okay, so this is fine. So now I am able to create my own URL like this, which has same packages as the Cloudera URL. Okay, and for any installation, I will be using my server's URL now. Okay, now there is one more small step left. Now, if you see, we are actually in this folder. If I go back to a directory, go back, there is another directory called repo data. This also has some files. Okay, so I want to create similar repo data folder in my parent directory also here. Okay, so I will be again go back to the server. I have already summarized those commands also. I'll just run these commands together and they will all. So this will create a folder called repo data in var www html 5.15.2. And why so? Because we are into this 5.15.2. I want a repo data folder here also. And then I will download all these packages that I just show you, these files, into that repo data folder. So I've already summarized it. I'll just copy and paste it on the server. Yeah, so now you will see that the repo data folder is also created here. It has all the files that we need, like this. Okay, so now actually we have created our own URL which has all the files that we need for our Cloudera Manager installation. Okay, and we will be using this URL for installation on the server. Okay, after this, now this step we have already done. We have installed HTTPD. Now one more step which is remain before we create this cm.repo that I was talking about, okay, is to disable the firewall. Now firewall is basically, it's a security feature of the Linux. It protects the inbound and the outbound traffic on the Linux server also. Okay, it's a Linux feature. It's not an AWS feature. And for this installation to work properly, we should actually stop this firewall service. Okay, so we will check the status of firewall. It's also a service just like HTTPD, just like we did service HTTPD status, right? We will do firewall D status. Currently it's saying could not be found. That means it's already not there. So it's fine. We don't need to do that step, but some of the servers might have it. So I've already placed this as a step. Okay. So check it if it's there or not. If it's not, no need to stop. But this has to be done. This is called SE Linux. It is another security feature of the Linux environment, and by default it is enabled. To check that, if we run this get enforce command, it's telling me it's enforcing. That means SE Linux is enabled. So we will have to disable it. The easier way is to do set enforce 0, but that won't permanently disable it. If I do get enforce now, it is permissive. That means disabled. That basically means it is not enforcing. But to permanently disable it, I will open this file etc selinux config. Okay, I will vi on this file. Vi basically is the help to change the content of a file. I'm repeating that again. So we want to make this enforcing, which is currently appearing as enforcing over here, to disabled. Okay, so to write to this file, I'll press the I key on my laptop. Now you can see there's an insert option coming at the bottom. That means now I can write to this file. So I will remove enforcing from here. I will write disabled instead. So once I am done writing, I'll press the escape key. Now you'll see this insert will go away from here. Okay, now insert is gone. So now I can save this file. So I will press colon. Since I want to save and quit, so save W and Q for quit. So now the file has been changed and SE Linux is permanently disabled. Let me place this step also. Okay, so we are done with this step also. Now, as I told you, yum, since I want to install Cloudera Manager, okay, and those packages are present in my URL. So I'll have to create a new repository file. So I'll go into cd slash etc slash yum dot repos dot d. Okay, these are by default repositories. I will create my own repository. Let's call it cm or Cloudera Manager dot repo. Again, I'm using vi command because I want to edit it. Vi is an editor on Linux. Okay, so I will use vi space cm dot repo. Since it's a new file, it is telling me it's a new file. Okay, I will again press the I button on my laptop to enter the insert mode so that I can now write to this file. Okay, so now every repo file has a predefined format. I have already created that format here. It's from here till here. Okay, this is a predefined format. I will just copy and paste it. Now here, first of all, in this URL, okay, we don't need this URL. I will remove this. I will make it as a comment for now. Or we can remove it also to be less confused about it. Okay, in this base URL, now we will be putting our own URL, which is this, and that too up till 5.15.2 only, because that's basically the base thing. That's where both these folders that we created, RPM and repo data, they are present. Okay, so we will be giving it up till this. But one more thing to consider. Now, since we are doing this on a server level, so we won't use public IP address. Anything when you're doing inside the server, you have to always use its private IP address, which is this. Okay, this private IP address won't work on the URL on the browser. Here it won't work, but on the server level only this will work. Here it will not work. So you will just replace that public URL that you were using on your browser with the private URL, copy it till 5.15.2, paste it here like this, and this will be your content of the repo from Cloudera manager to GPG check. So I'll just paste it here. So this is now going to be my own local repository URL. I'll press the escape key again, :WQ to save it. Let's check. ls-larth or ll, these two are same commands. This is a short, ll is a short form of this command. Okay. I think it's without a in ll. It's without an a in ll. Okay. So now you can see the CM repo is created, that I created it right now. And if I want to check the content of it, I can do cat also. So now you can see it says it's a Cloudera manager package. This is the base URL, which is basically my URL like this. So you can see private IP address will not work on our own browser. Instead, only public IP address will work here. But on the server level, only private IP address will work. So that's why both of them are same in terms of their functionalities. Okay, so now we have our repository created, which is CM repo. So now I can go ahead and install the Cloudera manager. But the basic requirement to install Cloudera manager or anything related to Cloudera is Java. So Java is basically a programming language, but it's also a kind of environment that Cloudera manager need. So we will install Java first. Okay, then we will install our Cloudera manager. So basically not just Cloudera manager, it's also installing an agent and daemon. So these three packages are required to be installed. So let's just quickly install it. Okay, once it will be installed now, what will happen is Cloudera manager, it needs a place to store some of its data. Okay, and for that it has an inbuilt or an embedded database package, which is Cloudera manager server db2. If you check it here in the RPMs, it's basically, okay, it's not appearing completely here. Let me show you that on the Cloudera page. So basically this DB, Cloudera Manager Server DB, this is a database. So we will be installing this database also so that Cloudera can interact with it and it can store some of its data onto that. Okay, so this is installed. Let me install this database also. Yeah, so now all my packages that I need are installed and I just need to start them. So just like I told you about HTTP, right? Every time you install a package, you should start it also. So similarly, I will start first of all, I will start my database, Cloudera SCM Server DB. So this will be the first step. Next, I will check the status of it, whether it's running or not. It says server is running, so that means it's fine. Next, I will start the Cloudera server or the Cloudera manager. Okay. Once it's started, let's check the status. Yeah, it says it's running. So within some time, I will just I'll wait for around like 1 or 2 minutes, and then we can see the UI of this appearing on the browser. So again, I will be using the public IP address, which is this. And Cloudera Manager, it runs on a particular port. I'll tell you what exactly port is. I think I've explained what port is before, right? Port is basically a point on the server where you can plug in or you can interact with it. So Cloudera Manager runs on port 8080. So after the public URL colon 8080 will be your, so this complete will be the URL for the Cloudera Manager. Let's see if it has come up. No, it's still waiting. Let's wait for some time. We can check the progress of whether it's running or what is the progress from this directory. So where log Cloudera SCM server. This is my log. If I want to print out the last 100 lines of the current printing of this file, I use the command tail. Tail command after 100F. It will print out the last or the current last printed 100 lines. Okay, so now it has saying started at port. Okay, 7180. It's not 8080. It's 7180. And ultimately you'll see this page showing Cloudera Manager and this login page coming up. By default, the like credentials will be admin user and the same password admin. So if you log in, now Cloudera Manager is installed. Okay, so this is just the first step that we have done in the installation. Basically, we have installed a Cloudera Manager, but Hadoop is still not installed onto this. The CDH version which I was talking about. We are yet to install it, but I think I'll be discussing it in the next class. But till then, at least try out yourself and come to this page. Okay, try to install Cloudera Manager, and then in the next class we will be discussing about CDH or the Hadoop deployment onto this. Okay, I think it's going to be yes. I'll be taking your troubleshooting. Don't worry. So I'll be uploading these notes for you on the drive, and along with the video. But I want everyone to at least try it out on your own servers. Okay, once try to install Cloudera Manager. Let me just upload this. Okay, so this is uploaded. You can refer this file and try out yourself. Okay, try out these steps yourself. And any questions on this? Okay, if there is no questions, I think I'll move on to Esa. He's having some issues. Okay, Esa, I'll make you the presenter. You can share your screen and let's see what's your problem. Okay,
Yep. Thank you. Yep.
I'll be stopping the recording now.